Hey there, rogues, wanderers, renegades of every vocation. It's Leo K. This is me continuing my Assassin's Creed Unity no upgrades run. I'm gonna actually leave a lot of the cutscenes in this one because it's short enough and some people might like to watch them. We'll see what people enjoy more, whether you guys want the cutscenes in, whether you don't. But anyway, we're gonna get going and I'll just lay down the rules that we're playing with here. So as you can see, I still have all my items from the end of the base game no upgrades run. I'm gonna go to the shop. I cannot actually get a Berserk Blade, and I want one. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kill these guys for money, loot their bodies, and then we should be able to buy one. This guy's giving me a bit of grief, so I just curve around the defender and high profile slit his throat. This is actually a chest that I can not open. I don't have the lockpick skill, so this is useless to me. But their bodies contain, you know, a little bit of money, and that's quite helpful. So the rules are basically the same. We're not going to upgrade anything, we're not going to get any armor, we're not going to buy any weapons. That's an important distinction. So at one point in this playthrough, we are given the Guillotine Gun. And what we're not going to do is we're not going to go into the menu and unequip it because that would breach the rules. Essentially, I'm not allowed to go into my gear screen and my skill screen at any time. The only thing I'm allowed to do, once again, is to just refill consumables. So one of the things that you'll notice about this DLC is that it's significantly harder than the base game. And there are a few reasons for that. And one is that a lot of the time, guards, even if they look like they're of opposing factions, will not fight each other because in the narrative, they're actually both working with Napoleon. So it makes it more difficult for Arno because he cannot leverage their animosity he cannot leverage their animosity against each other. He has to kind of just fight everyone and try to, get through without being able to lure people around, cause them to aggro each other. It's not going to happen. Like, for all intents and purposes, they're all the same faction. So that's one thing. The other thing is that at this point, the game assumes, because this is the final sequence, obviously, the game assumes that you're quite beefed up and quite upgraded, and of course we're not. We're the exact opposite of that. So what we need to do is we need to get in here, we need to find this guy's grave to find out what Napoleon is doing, what he's up to. Marquis de Sade has tasked Arno with locating King Louis's grave, I believe. I can easily take this guy out, and one thing that you'll see me do is I'm forced to take a much more methodical approach because the way guard patterns overlap in Dead Kings is much more dense than the base game, and you basically can't always get away with the same kind of shenanigans you can when playing the base game because most of these guys also hit quite hard. You can see Arno actually refused to shoot there. Sometimes that will happen. I don't know if it's a bug or if something causes it. I think it's a bug. But even though your crosshair is right on the guy, even though Arno is ready to fire, if his arm can't animate correctly, then he just won't squeeze off the shot, which is kind of a negative user experience thing, but we'll let it fly because we have no other choice. It's Unity. You can't really ask for a super huge deal of polish from this game. But anyway, we made our way down. All's fair. Everything's fine.
Now, where are you hiding, Louis?
So the rest of this mission is quite easy for the most part until we get to the latter half. We're going to Eagle Vision to allow ourselves to interact with this coffin.
Simple as
Where is it?
The temple door is nearby. Look at the map.
There's nothing here. You've wasted my time with this fabrication.
You call my honor into question?
Your honor as a soldier. Don't make me laugh. You're free to break your contract. Then I'm also free. And I have savage tastes.
I misspoke, Capitan. I heard there's a list of all the relics that were looted from the tomb. I can take you to them. A fine alternative to the temple.
That's not what I want. Look me in the eye when I'm speaking to you. Do you want what I want?
Yes.
Good. Then we're in agreement. Find the temple, and you just might make it back alive. Pleasure working with you.
Help!
So Arno is going to recontextualize our definition of the phrase ghost run. He's gonna freak this guy out so bad.
Citizen.
Stay back, ghosts!
He thinks that he's a spirit, because the idea is that the ghosts of the dead kings of France are, you know, haunting this place. And quite a few people believe in that superstition, and Arno is a dark-robed gentleman skulking around in the shadows. He's understandably a little freaky. As Napoleon once said, the hood is a bit sinister, though.
Requiescat in pace.
And he apes Ezio here.
Makes no difference to you, does it? You're gone. Merci, monsieur.
So this is kind of a new mechanic in this DLC, and it's the central movement and exploration mechanic. This DLC gives you one combat mechanic and one exploration mechanic, and the exploration mechanic is this lantern. First of all, it lets you see in the dark, but second of all, sometimes there will be these, you know, creepy crawlies, either insects or bats. Insects cover surfaces. I tried to side eject there, and I got so frustrated that I decided I would do it no matter the cost. So I just retried it, and then it worked. I was like, I'm stubborn. I want to get this animation. Anyway, there are two main deterrents within catacombs and within the, you know, the underground in Franciade. There's bats, which block the air, and there are insects which block wall-run surfaces and walls. So you see how here, like, essentially they just occupy space, and Arno can't move through them unless your lantern is lit, which scares them away. And your lantern is not infinite, it actually consumes oil. It's a resource that you basically have to be refilling from time to time. And it's kind of like it sort of rewards skill, a small amount, because if you're good at movement and you're moving quickly, you don't need to refill your lantern as much as a player who is moving slower. So it, you know, moving quickly lets you preserve flow in more ways than one. So I'm gonna toggle off the lantern here because I'm outside and I don't need it. And now the next place we need to go to is this abbey, which apparently holds a book that we need to take a look at. Another difference between Dead Kings and the base game is that Dead Kings actually contains a much higher frequency of movement objectives. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a bit. But here, I essentially want the chest these guys are guarding, because as of yet, I shouldn't yet have a ton of cash. Now, once we finish the first mission, this DLC is going to start giving us tremendous amounts of money. Because again, it's assuming that you as a player are, you know, fully upgraded. And of course it's giving you tons of cash because, you know, you should be going for endgame gear at this point. So you really need like large sums of money. But for us, that's not the case, and it'll just make things really easy because once we finish a mission, we get heaped like 10,000 livres onto us, and then we can just constantly refill consumables without a worry, without a care in the world. I'm gonna side eject onto here, jump over here, stumble here, just totally broke flow. I was holding parkour down, but he didn't feel like doing it. It's fine, it happens. So these gunners, I'm actually not going to engage them. This is something you'll see me doing more in this DLC than you may perhaps be used to, because sometimes it's actually safer not to engage guards, just because, again, the density of them is so high. And then when I do have to engage them, I'm going to be much slower and more methodical in clearing them out. And there will be times when I get into combat, and there will be times when I actually just run through a swarm of people without worrying about whether they'll detect me or not. So here I actually can't do that yet. Here I need to kind of take my time, go slow, and clear these guys. It's really area dependent. It's area and pattern dependent. Anyway, so I need to get in this abbey, and the way I'm going to do this is by actually climbing to the top of the building and looking for a corner that you can drop down, because that's the easiest way. It's the most expedient. It's the most direct. It's the closest to your actual objective. You can infiltrate this 3 or 4 different ways, but this one I found is the simplest. Now, I mentioned earlier that Dead Kings involves a lot more movement objectives, and in that regard, it's kind of similar to the older Assassin's Creed games, where, you know, a distinct part of your mission would be, okay, parkour across the rooftops, across the city, go to a point that's like 200, 300 meters away, and then, you know, then you can start your mission. So it values parkour a little bit more than the base game, even, at least in terms of its mission design. So we're gonna kill this guy and just carefully crouch around here. Again, this is all base stats, default stats, so we have to move quite quickly out of people's line of sight. This guy that's walking around, he actually can detect you as soon as the cutscene ends here, without you being able to do anything to stop it, and then he brings the whole building down on you, so it's best to just kill him before you investigate the drawer.
Don Poirier's list. It reads Condorcet manuscript, located in the old red house, and then a name, Léon.
So see here, you have no control over Arno for a number of moments. If I'd let that blue guard stay alive, he can actually detect you while you still don't have input, and that's just really aggravating, so it's best to just kill him. And because I killed these guys earlier, I have free reign to just leave the area from here. Now, if I remember correctly, I'm not going to leave the exact way that I came in. I'm actually going to be looking around. I see that that church is in that direction, so I know that I can safely go that way. Without HUD, sometimes it's hard to tell where the boundaries of the map are and where there's still city to go to. But if you look at a landmark, that's a safe bet. Just head in that direction and you're fine. So I'm actually kind of making this up on the fly as I go. This looks like a reasonably safe route. So I'll try to move down here and see what happens. I'm gonna move behind this little wall. Okay, yeah, they still can't see me. Good stuff. And we should be pretty safe to just get the heck out of here. So that's mission 1. As you can see, quite a bit longer than some of the missions in the base game. They often have multiple checkpoints and they are spread out from each other. They're not always in the exact same place. So next we need to investigate the house of this Léon fellow and find out who he is.
Bonjour. Does Léon live here?
He ain't here. We haven't seen him for days. Leave us in peace.
Has he been arrested again?
Not that I know of.
A lot of people would like to see his hands cut off. He's a vicious thief. That
I need his help.
he went out to the windmill yesterday. I've not seen him since. Give him my name. Madame Margot.
Merci.
Please. Tell him to come home.
Alright, so once again, see how our objective marker is 300 meters away? This DLC loves to do that. It's like its favorite thing, basically. Just, yeah, parkour. Do it. It's good. It's fun. We remember one of our core pillars. It's awesome. So, for the most part, I'm quite happy about that, because it gives you genuine reasons to do movement during main missions. I don't know if you guys can notice that or if it's just me, but I feel like my frame rate in this DLC is not as smooth, not as stable as it is in the base game. And another thing this DLC does is, I don't know if you guys have had the same experience, but it actually crashes a lot. And on my secondary channel, maybe I'll upload, you know, a short, tiny little crash compilation. It's actually quite depressing. A few times I was, you know, at the end of a mission and just crashed on me. And there's nothing you can do. You just have to restart the whole memory from the beginning, because otherwise it just doesn't look good. So, and yeah, like it's through no fault of the player, you know, it just happens. It just decides to crash. And as far as I'm aware, nothing really, you know, causes it. Like you just get lucky or you don't. I found that rebooting Uplay and rebooting Steam sometimes helps a little bit, at least for like a few hours, and then it kind of starts doing it again. But anyway, here we have to get to this windmill. And this is an area that crashed for me so many times that I got pretty decent at moving through it, you know, super casually without even breaking a sweat. So I'm just going to smoke these guys and not care about them. And then I'm going to smoke these three guys and care about them a bunch. Like here, I'm going to care about them so much. I'm going to care about this guy, and then I'm going to care about this guy, and I'll super take care of this dude right here. Brutes can't block. So right now we still have our dull cavalry saber, which I remind you is literally the worst weapon in the game. Like the only thing worse than this would be if Arno had to fight with his fists, and you literally cannot do that. So, quite terrible damage-wise. Thankfully, these guys are still pretty low diamond level. I'm just gonna jump right past this guy. We don't have to care about him at all. Like, our only goal here is to move into the catacombs. So I Jedi stabbed that guy in the bad place. He's not gonna be okay. We're gonna go in through here. And this is where things get tricky. Here, a new guard type is introduced, and that's raiders. And their key characteristic is that they're sort of a system that is comprised of two parts. There's raiders, and then there's like their leader, like their captain. The raiders don't have a lot of HP, and they don't do a lot of damage, but they are many, like they are legion. And the captain is tanky, and he does a lot of damage, but there's only one of him. And the idea is if you kill their captain, they become terrified. So they're looking for something. They're looking for treasure, and they're being worked quite hard. But yeah, their captains, their foremans kind of control the bunch. And if you take the head of the snake, then the body will wither for the most part. I get extremely unlucky. This guy's super inconsistent. Sometimes he detects you, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes one Phantom Blade body shot will kill him, sometimes it won't. Sometimes you can walk up and stab him for free, sometimes you can't. And this time I got unlucky. So what I'm gonna do here is, you actually don't need to fight any of these guys, because the next checkpoint triggers via movement, and you don't have to be anonymous to trigger it. So what you can do is easily just rush through here, get detected, doesn't matter, no sweat, We don't care. And boom, trigger cutscene. Now, again, because I still have quite a weak weapon, and I will soon be expected to fight against, you know, raider captains, raider leaders, I'm gonna fight with my hidden blade, which means abuse cover, get cover kills, and then if an enemy sort of breaches my cover kill angle and I can't get a cover kill anymore, I'll disengage from the cover or jump over it, cover on the other side so I can trigger more hidden blade kills. And that's basically like a bootleg way to fight with your hidden blade. And on a no upgrades run, this will save your life.
Ambition. You're just like me.
Rose,
Commandant Bonaparte.
any progress to report?
Only this.
So Napoleon is evil now, and he's looking for Isu temples.
Find me the door that this key unlocks, and I shall reward you beyond your wildest dreams.
What is behind the door?
This is our petite trespasser.
Who are you calling little? I'm nearly as tall as...
You need to learn a bit of diplomacy. Rose, I trust you'll show the boy to the surface.
Of course, Commandant. Kill him.
What? No!
So like Rose is a bit of a bastard. He doesn't really care about anyone except himself. And he's not a very kind person either.
He's only a child. I have children of my own.
The ghosts of the kings.
So much for the element of surprise.
So Leon actually breaks stealth here. Oh, excuse me, Leon. Alright, immediately I'm gonna like slam into cover here. Get the kill on the left. And get another, I'm gonna knock him down. Cover here. And then do a high profile cover kill to leap over. And then I'm gonna loot these guys. Checking my inventory as I do so. I'm basically fishing for smoke bombs because they're extremely important here, even more so than in the base game.
Stay back, monster!
I'm not a ghost.
When you speak to Leon, your camera is locked and stuck like this, so I just move and take cover behind here. Because I know that a raider leader is coming. So I select smoke, and I'm gonna paint this area so that I have an easier chance of stopping their movement. Kill the leader. The rest is fine. I could probably just melee this guy down. So as you can see, when you kill their leader, they actually become terrified, and you can get hidden blade kills on them for free. Like it's like it forcibly ejects them out of combat state. And this is a mechanic that we're going to use once or twice later. I'm just looking around, seeing if I missed any corpses. I'm getting mortar bombs, which are a new ammunition type.
Whoa.
I don't have the gun for it yet.
Quickly, we have to hide!
So fast. I'm looking for a manuscript. It was taken from a tomb under Saint Denis.
I have it. It's in my fortress. We can get it later. How did you do all that? You're the best fighter I've ever seen.
I wouldn't go that far.
Where did you train?
In Paris.
Whoa. I practice behind our house. I don't really have anyone to train with. All the freedom fighters are in Paris. Like you.
What about your mother?
Madame Margot? She's not my mother. My mother is Morisco. She had to go back to Spain. That's why she had to leave me at the orphanage. I bet my parents will come back once France is safe. Inia, come.
Leon really wants to protect France and save it from evil.
For now, we're going to need weapons.
Just leave that to the professionals. Where did you get that?
I stole it from 2 raiders yesterday. Hid it here.
This is a fine gun.
Yes, I know. I know what I'm doing.
Which is?
Saving France. Now that you're here, it's gonna be a lot easier.
Listen,
What?
we have to get that manuscript first. To protect it from the enemies of France.
Oh! All right! We need to get above ground.
So now we get the Guillotine Gun. And this will be our weapon for the rest of this DLC, because again, we're not allowed to switch weapons at all. This is the weakest possible Guillotine Gun. I think there's like 5 of them. Maybe there's just 3, I forget exactly. But basically it lets you, it's a grenade launcher, is the easiest way to think of it. It's a grenade launcher that is also an axe. Guillotine Gun is actually such a stupid name for it, but yeah, it's basically like, it's a grenade launcher if someone, instead of putting a bayonet on it, they put a huge axe blade on the end. So, kind of a wacky weapon, but it'll serve our purpose. So because I don't want to engage with these guys, I'm just gonna curve around here, stick to the edge.
Whoa, you're better than all the stories.
That's because the stories aren't true.
That's like my favorite quote in this DLC. It's because the stories aren't true.
Think.
Arno and Leon have an interesting dynamic because, as we know, Arno is someone who kind of lost all of his father figures over the course of the story, literally all of them. And he meets this young boy who, you know, in some ways is kind of like him. And he doesn't have a father figure either. And it's kind of like, in this DLC, Arno sort of has a chance to, you know, break the pattern, break the cycle, you know, be a mentor, be a guide to this lost child, essentially, who believes so much in injustice and, you know, and righteousness. But, you know, the world is cruel, and it's not very kind to idealistic people.
You appeal to their self-interest, but you have miscalculated. Your people are dead. I know the human animal. What you fear, what you love. Is Rose a bad man? Undoubtedly. But I, Napoleon, can control him and turn him to what is best for France. The masses will gladly renounce their freedom if all can entertain the hope of rising to the top. The artifact inside the temple, I will bring them the illusion of hope. And I will lead us to glory.
It's kind of funny how in the base game, Germain said something like, in the future, we who control the gold will control the world, right? Like, the divine right of kings is nothing but sunlight on gold. It's essentially a critique. It's a critique of, you know, capitalist systems. And Napoleon actually continues this, and this is something that a lot of people I don't think have read this way. I'm going to read it this way and talk about it for a short moment. But it's interesting that he says, essentially, the more people believe that they can rise up the hierarchy, the more stable that hierarchy becomes. Because if you feel completely hopeless, then you'll rebel against the system you live in. But as long as you have some hope, as long as you have some faith that, you know, do the right actions, do the right things, and you'll climb, you'll ascend, then everyone's happy to play along, kind of. And they don't even realize that their freedoms are being taken away. So this is something that, you know, it's the closest Assassin's Creed has come to having, you know, nuanced social commentary since the original games, which used to have quite a lot of that before we, you know, went into all this boring, safe, sterile territory. Anyway, we need to get out of here. We need to get above ground. And in order to do that, we have to solve this puzzle, which isn't really much of a puzzle, but that's another thing this DLC contains. It's a lot more puzzles. It kind of transplants the essence of the tombs from the Ezio games and kind of puts it into Unity. Lets you experience more of that. So we have to do a bunch of movement and trigger all these pressure plates. These kind of buttons, these pressure plates, they'll also be seen later, but here is kind of like their simplest iteration. This is a really stupid back eject. No excuse there, I just failed really badly. But I'm actually not going to heal through this, because I've got the knowledge that all I need to do is finish the memory, and Arno will auto-heal to a degree. I just want to conserve my medicine for the most part, just in case. And I realized that that's actually really stupid, and I didn't need to do it, because I have a ton of cash from finishing the earlier memory, Buried Words. So I could just buy medicine no problem if I wanted to. So what you see me doing here is actually taking a super unnecessary risk and kind of playing with fire, and don't do this. It's really foolish. I'm literally one hit away from death this entire time. And this memory is quite long, so... But not to worry. Spoilers, I don't die. I do come close though. Like, you'll see what I mean. I'm telling you, it's really foolish, it's really silly. Like, I just run headfirst into this restricted area. And, you know, these guys start shooting at me. If I get hit, grazed by a single bullet, I'm gone. And so are the previous, 15 minutes or so. But we're fine. We're just gonna run over the rooftops and keep it moving. I'm actually trying to avoid these guys because I want nothing to do with them at my current health pool.
Give me the manuscript.
Why? It has nothing to do with anything, does it?
I'm leaving the country. That's my way out.
What of the future? A free France where we all take care of each other.
Why don't you grow up? Forget France. You're on your own.
What happened to turn you into such a connard?
You can't save them. They're never coming back.
You are just like them.
So as you can see, Arno is he's quite jaded. He's quite disillusioned with the world, and Leon still has his innocence. He still has faith and belief that his actions matter and that he can change the world for the better.
Who? The Marquis? Elise! Wait! Elise! Stop!
So I actually switched to Berserk Blades, but you cannot target this NPC with projectiles, so you don't get the cheaty, easy way out. You just have to chase her down on your own 2 feet.
Who are you? We only took a couple sous. Here.
I've been looking for you, monsieur. Thank you for returning Leon.
Good luck with him.
I once had a son.
I'm sorry.
No. He's alive. I left him. I began the orphanage after.
Now that's love.
Sometimes love is a prison. His father taught me that. The orphanage. This is my true calling. Leon tells me you could have been the savior of France. Children.
Madame Margot.
He's behind the orphanage.
So you can kind of see Arno softening a little bit here. He realizes that this kid really kind of has nobody, and I'm thinking at this point in the story he starts to kind of see a bit of himself in him. Actually, I think he saw quite a bit of himself in Leon before, when he was telling him, like, you can't save them, they're never coming back. Like, he's trying to get him to quit while he's ahead, in a manner of speaking, before he really gets himself hurt, whether that's physically or emotionally, because Arno's been through it all. He knows these things. He knows where this path leads, and he kind of wants to protect this kid from that. But he slowly starts to realize that Leon has like quite a bit of conviction in that little heart of his, and it would be wrong to just like abandon him to his fate and like leave him. So he decides, you know what? I'll fight back. Why not?
Little man. We have 3 days until my ship sails.
So what?
I'll get the artifact. Then I'm gone.
Fine. But how? Do you have a map to the temple in your coat?
The list of relics. A painting in the cavern. I knew I'd seen those plates before. They're drawn here. But this one is missing.
Best Jedi, Paris.
I'm being serious.
Well, see. Meet me upstairs once you find the other two.
Oui, monsieur.
So at this point, the game is going to make you hunt down 2 relics, which starts a sort of side quest that gives you a special sword called the Eagle of Sugair. I actually skip this because it's legitimately boring, and it's not very interesting, and there's not much conflict. And yeah, it's just, it's literally a waste of time. I would not recommend watching it. I don't enjoy playing it,
The other two.
and you're not missing out.
So, what happens now?
I don't know. You tell me.
A little light in the darkness.
Go away! Busy!
Wait. Look.
It's a map of the caverns!
I'll find out where it leads. You stay here.
Merde, Leon!
So they discover that those little discs that they had are a map. And this map can show Arno where the door to this temple is. And that's what he's going to go to investigate right now. This mission is probably one of the more involved ones in this DLC. There's quite a bit of puzzle solving in it, and it's the only one with puzzles that can be genuinely challenging, which probably explains why I don't love it as much, because I don't play stealth games to play puzzles. But it's fine, and I'll show you how you can solve them pretty easily. As with any puzzle, it's kind of like once you memorize the solutions, it's trivial. In order to get to where we need to go, we have to infiltrate this same church and move down the same entrance. This is basically one of the entrances to the underground. So this guard actually spotted me and went into red SSI before I managed to break line of sight, so he's going to come over here, and I'll just like remove him. Just keep things easy, keep things simple. This guy's gonna go ahead and walk forward. I'm gonna slip into this hiding door, take a look at where he's going. I don't think he's a concern. Generally speaking, guards that are moving do not suddenly and randomly stop moving in that direction. They're gonna keep moving in that direction for at least another second or two, and usually that gives you enough time to move on. This is actually really funny. The objective marker doesn't trigger because I guess I fell past it wrong or something, so I had to move back toward it to trigger the next checkpoint. Now, I actually have no idea who is looking at me here. It makes basically no sense, but whatever. I'll let it slide. The smoke cloud is thankfully large enough to let me move through it. And I'm just gonna kill a bunch of these guys to make space, and also because on the off chance that one of them detects me, the more of these guys are remaining, the harder it'll be. Someone's looking at me, I hide. Using my eagle vision, I can see that it's that guy in that room. So I risk a body shot, and thankfully it's enough to kill him. I think it's because the the Guillotine Gun actually raises your damage a small amount over the Del Cavalry Saber. So your Phantom Blades also do more damage, but you do have to headshot the leaders, otherwise they will not go down. So once I headshot the leader, these guys are terrified. You can kind of just do whatever you want to them. You know, clear them. This is a mistake, I shouldn't have done this. I'll waste time and a bit of resources over here. I could have easily just ran in the direction of my objective, and in truth I should have done so, but whatever. You get a taste of Guillotine Gun combat. The animations for this are actually pretty sick. I think it's my favorite weapon in the game. My favorite weapon type, I should say, just because it's the most unique, other than rifles. The fact that Arno can use a rifle as a melee weapon to club people with is pretty badass, I find. So, I was really feeling myself in that moment. I kind of just decided to be clutch about it and trigger the next checkpoint with an air assassinate.
Go on, choose one. The Commandant told us to wait.
Bang.
Anyone else prefer to wait?
Okay, so here there are, I believe, 3 puzzles to solve, 3 objectives to finish, and they're all guarded. So we're gonna start by sticking to the top of this chamber and just moving around until we can get in position. These guys shouldn't trouble us, so we can start making our way down. So these are very clearly First Civilization holograms. Now for this puzzle, you need to light these braziers in the correct order. And that order is, if the one that we're facing right now is north, then the order is north, south, west, east. So we're gonna light this one. I'm kind of looking for a way to get back without going in the water, but there's no way to do so, which is fine because there's an oil pot on the other side anyway. Now here, as we're sticking on this side of the room, we have to be careful not to fall in the water. But thankfully there are parkour routes that Ubisoft have kindly placed for us. So we can go this way, this way. So this is the third one. And the last one, same principle. You just have to get over to it. It's on the exact opposite side without falling in the water, which is quite easy. And you don't have to be like very fast or anything. I don't think these are on a time limit here. You can just kind of light them, it's fine. So that's the first one done.
What sort of device is this? Like the map on the plates, it is made out of light.
So now we've solved one of 3 puzzles. We have to climb back up. At this point, I believe people start noticing me. I'm just kind of looking around with my peepers, trying to find people. That guy's staring at me, so I shoot him in the face. And then I notice these fellows. I throw smoke, eagle vision. And I'm really trying to shoot this guy, but he's being a little uncooperative, so I try to like flick to him, and it does work. I try to high-profile cover assassinate that guy, but they're all scared, so they're just running away, which is fine. It clears this area. I really should be looting these guys, but I'm kind of impatient here, and I want to keep it moving because I also know that the next puzzle is right here, and as you can see, I basically just stop caring, and I know that they can't follow me down here because they can't climb, and if they try to, they just like break their legs or whatever, so that's whatever. So for this one, you do have to be quite fast. And the order is pretty simple. From left to right, you do 3, 1, 2, 4. The hardest thing about this puzzle is frankly controlling Arno's movement. Like, you have to release high profile before getting too close to the plate, because otherwise you'll overshoot it and you won't be able to stomp on it in time. So that's 2 of 3 done, and the third one is the easiest. The third one isn't even a puzzle. It's literally just matching boxes with markings on the wall. So you can see how these guys are pretty fragile. The only advantage they have is their sheer numbers, which is an advantage you can strip away by killing their leaders. Like this guy. I'm gonna loot him because I haven't learned my lesson by now, and Yubi doesn't really put stronger, you know, quantities of items, or stronger items in general, on, you know, more elite enemies. That's something that they didn't really start doing until Origins? Yeah. Unity and Syndicate item distribution is completely random. So you have, like, just as much chance getting like a good item drop from, you know, a random grunt as you would from just like a super tough dude. And by good item drop, I mean, you know, sometimes they'll drop like smoke bomb ×2, and then, you know, you save some time. You just re-grab 2 of an item instead of just 1, and that's the ideal, but it's quite rare. Anyway, so this puzzle, quote-unquote puzzle, it's not really a puzzle. You can kind of see it. You just have to step on these buttons until each pillar rises and matches up with the glowing marking on the wall. And when it does, you'll hear that sound effect, and you'll also see it begin to glow. So really, all you need to do is interact, wait, and just keep doing that patiently until, you know, you hear it click in. There's really no way to screw it up. Nice. And last one. So we're actually going to use these to climb out. I get a little stuck on that ledge there, but it's fine, we figure it out in time. This mission is more or less finished. I don't think there's any other conflict to be concerned with here. And we can just kind of keep moving. So if you're thinking that the Guillotine Gun makes no upgrades a little too easy, you'd be forgiven for thinking that, but you still have to prioritize who you're attacking, and you still have to try to avoid combat as much as you can. Because, yes, you may be able to refill your resources as much as you want, you know, on a financial level, but you only have that limited amount per mission, and the missions in Den Kings are much longer than the base game. So essentially, resource conservation is actually more important here. In a weird, ironic, twisted way. Like, yes, you can refill them easier, but you get less chances to refill.
Bonjour.
What have you been doing?
Nothing. Did you find the lock?
Yes, now I need the key.
You know the soldier carrying this chest for the little commandant? I just saw him in the market.
Merci. And I told you to stay here, remember?
Oui, monsieur.
This mission crashed on me about 4 times. Thankfully, this was not one of them. So the way I start out here is I just run straight forward, and I need to get up to roof level as quick as I can, so I just side eject off of that wall onto here, 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 and then immediately hold right and jump. So now we're on this roof, we can go through this window, emerge on the other side, and this is the marketplace. This is where we need to be. So the first thing I'm actually going to do here is look at all my items, and really I'm just looking to see if I have 5 out of 5 smoke bombs, and I do. So the next thing I want to do is trigger the tailing segment. So I eagle vision this guy. Arno's like, there you are, and we're going to blend in these crowds and just wait these guys out.
Yes, sir.
I'm just another guy. You have no idea. So tailing missions really test patience and foresight. Those are the two skills that they're looking for, and the 2 skills that you need to possess to an adequate extent in order to finish tailing missions in any Assassin's Creed game. And as far as I'm aware, tailing missions don't really exist anymore. I think even if they did, the mechanics wouldn't be all there for them. So you can see that there are gunners on these roofs. My objective is to engage with these guys as little as possible. And the full sync for this mission actually requires you to kill a bunch of these guys. But on a no upgrades run, in order to stay safe, we play it a different way. And instead they become almost like static obstacles that we either can't or shouldn't be attempting to remove. So it's kind of fascinating because I basically have to play around them, and Arno kind of has to play Icarus for a little bit, because if you go too low, then you're on street level and you have less mobility, you have less ability to track your target. But if you go too high, then the gunners will start to see you. So you actually have to stay in between both extremes, and it's the only mission I've played either in a long time or at all that actually works this way, and I find it pretty interesting. I think the full sync objective rather should have been don't kill any gunners, because then it would have incentivized this kind of play. And it's very interesting, it's very unique, it's very different. It's not something you'll really see anywhere else, even in the Assassin's Creed series. Now don't get me wrong, like, I hate tailing missions as much as the next guy. I think they're slow paced. I think that the value of the skills they test does not outweigh their pacing and essentially the stripping away of agency that the player has, because you're basically at the mercy of an NPC's walk schedule, and that's really annoying. Essentially, like, at this point you have to play by this NPC's rules, and you can't really, you know, create your own combos and create your own flows and things like that. So up here, really I just want to come down here, avoid these guys. And I actually lose this target once or twice, and I have to locate him again. It turns into a locate objective. I'm periodically re-pinging him with my Eagle Pulse, just to like keep up my tracking and see where he's going. And this is where my inexperience with this mission begins to kind of become more obvious. To my right, there are actually a bunch of red guys that I don't see. I should have eagle visioned right here. And I noticed them and I'm like, I do not want to go that way. So I climb up this building instead. And even up here, like, I noticed that wooden platform and I kind of freaked out for a second here because if there were gunners up here, then I couldn't actually access this part of the level, but no, there are no gunners there, thankfully. And this is the building that we have to get to. We just have to come in here, eavesdrop on this guy, figure out what he knows.
What do you have for me this time?
Silver. Nearly enough to fill a chest.
Give it to me.
The Commandant still suspects nothing.
He is occupied in Paris. Your usual fee. Plus, a promotion.
Très bon. A pleasure doing business with you.
This guy detects me, and I actually fudge the Berserk Blade here. I should have hit him faster, but the game does something really weird. You saw me select Berserk Blade, and it's still fired with the Guillotine Gun. You'll actually see me do this a few more times, and it's really frustrating because, again, see, I select Berserk Blade, but Arno fires with the Guillotine Gun, and this actually causes this target to kind of break a little. So I can no longer do a takedown on him, I just have to chase him down and just brawl him to death in front of all his dudes, which is really frustrating. And see, like, I'm kind of feeling overwhelmed, so I have to drop smoke and just mob this guy until he coughs up the key.
You will do no such thing. Tell me the location of the chest containing the golden key, or I shall reveal your thievery.
I am merely seeking a harmless profit.
Like a rat hungry for apples.
How did you know?
Surely the Commandant will find the comparison enlightening.
The chest is under guard within the caverns. Here.
Merci. Now get out of my sight.
No, this is too much. Time to go.
Damn straight, this is too much. Alright, we have to get the heck out of here. So for the final part of this mission, we have to go and retrieve that key. And we're going to go back down into the underground. I drop smoke here and kind of just isolate these guys in this corner of the room. I try to take cover here, and Arno sort of does it, but sort of doesn't do it. But I still end up getting the high-profile cover kill on this guy. So that could have gone worse. There's a leader. I want to try to shoot him in the head. Bam, there you go. Everyone around him will now be terrified for a while. And I haven't played this in a while, so I'm looking around for where I'm actually supposed to go. You'll see me getting lost later. Because this underground is quite confusing and labyrinthine. Sometimes I habitually drop smoke behind myself while I'm running, so in case someone is pursuing me, they stop and they can't chase me past a certain point. I finally managed to pull off Berserk trick on this guy. Like, I stun him with the Berserk Blade and just run into him. I'm really trying to run through this area as fast as I can because I know people are coming to investigate me from behind. And now all hell breaks loose and I have to pop medicine. I have to, you know, mob this leader. There's tons of raiders just coming at me. This is really their prime strength, their prime characteristic. Again, they don't have a lot of HP, but they are millions. And when they're in the presence of a leader, they're emboldened and they'll attack more. I'm really trying to just deplete this guy's HP as much as I can, applying stun with my combos and then hitting him with another blade, reloading, etc. There's a bunch of bodies here. I'm gonna start looting them. Just because I burnt a lot of resources and I need to start getting those back. When I get back the smoke bomb, I'm pretty happy with it, so I just keep going. I'm able to land and insta-hit and blade this guy. I'm gonna keep running, grab this dude, keep moving. I just do not want to stop because there's so many of them and I know they're all following me. And here we get in another huge brawl. I'm starting to get sliced. I only have 3 medicine left. I'm keeping an eye on my inventory. I almost died there. I only have 2 medicine left. I'm really feeling the pressure. There's 2 leaders here. I take one out, and I'm actually trying to apply damage onto that remaining leader. But, you know, because there's no way to lock a target in this game, Arno will kind of just, you know, attack whoever he pleases. The game will try to predict reasonably who you want to hit, but it's not perfect. Again, more of these badass animations. So these guys are all dead. I lost a lot of items, a lot of resources. I'm relooting them because this mission still has a ways to go. This is really an endurance mission. Like, the game essentially asks of you to make your items count, make your health count. I'm basically grabbing as many of these guys as I can in order to try and, you know, first of all, create more bodies for me to loot. But second of all, I know that eventually they'll actually start to fight me if their terror state runs out. So if they're running past me now and they're like coming right into my arms, like I might as well. We're gonna be looting these guys for a short while, and I could fast forward, but I'm getting kind of thirsty, so I'm just gonna take this moment to drink some water. I've been talking for about an hour. Okay, I had a freak out moment right here because I saw how many of these guys there were. I smoke onto myself in order to create cover so I can shoot that guy in the head. And now I can take down a bunch of these guys. Imagine all of these people mobbing you at the same time if you hadn't killed the leader. So you can see how it can go from, you know, a pushover to a genuine challenge and vice versa. These guys up here are still under the influence of a leader, so they're not really moving around as much. I don't know why it took them forever to detect me. Maybe it was just the one guy here in the corner who still was connected to a leader in the area, whereas the other 3 guys were, you know, paired, were grouped with the leader I just killed. The mechanics are a little unclear, but it doesn't matter that much. So thankfully this guy doesn't move much, so I can crack the second headshot onto him. Otherwise it would have been very annoying, because Napoleon soldiers will actually block much more than these raiders. So I ready a mortar, a grenade basically, and bam, I hit him with it. I know he's not dead. And I want to get, yep, I flick him with the headshot, good stuff. Again, that was quite lucky. If I'd missed that, then this would have been a harder fight and I would have needed to waste probably smoke. At least one smoke. And I'm not sure if I actually have smoke at this point. I should have 1 or 2.
All that security for a key. What lies behind that door?
Nice. Now we need to book it and get out of here. So here you're gonna notice me get a little lost because I'm like, I reasonably assume that going this way will, you know, lead to an exit, but it does not. So I'm gonna run around in circles for a short while, maybe like a minute or 2 at the most. A little embarrassing, but again, it's not lethal. It's not the end of the world. I am 100% not the only player to get lost in this underground section. I've seen people get lost here even once they've put down objective markers for themselves. Let alone, you know, just trying to trying to get out using only your wits. I accidentally pick up this tricorn, but it doesn't matter because, or it's actually a bicorn, I'm sorry. I accidentally pick up that hat, but it doesn't matter because Napoleon's hats don't give you anything, as far as I'm aware. And even if they did, collecting just one is completely worthless. You would have to pick up the whole set. This guy was just in my way, I don't want him to detect me, and hidden blade kills are the fastest. I realize I actually don't want to go in that direction, and I leave those people to their devices. I make a quick decision here, and I realize that this door looks like the exit. I was right, and we can leave. And now all we should have left is the final mission. So we're back here at this door, and this is the beginning of the end.
For that artifact.
Allow me. What skill stealing the key? Much obliged.
Should I notify the commandant?
Tell him that I resign.
So now we kind of see Rose's true colors. He wants the artifact for himself.
What now?
He's not going to let Napoleon have it, and Arno's stuck here.
Leon, how did you find...
I know what I'm doing. All of France is counting on you.
Little man, thank you. Now get out of sight, I mean it.
Why?
It's time to find out what's inside that temple.
And the Capitaine?
He shall fall. For I am an assassin.
So Leon actually chucks you down your lantern. And this is a bit of a navigation puzzle, which, you know, I have to do some thinking about at one point. So the first step is super easy. You just want to light your lantern and then come back the way you came without falling in the water. Because there's insects on the first wall that you need to, you know, run up. And you cannot go there unless you frighten them away with the light. So as you can see, these gates are closed. The only way to open them is to step on pressure plates. And the only way to get to the pressure plates is to climb up those bugged walls. So we got our lantern, no problem. They're all scurrying away. Bye-bye, beasties. Here's the first one. This gate's gonna open. I'm kind of like thinking about which way I want to go here. I decide to explore in this direction first. I realize that there's a waterfall up there. There's another gate here. I think, like, I try to do classic AC1 to Revelations shenanigans by running up the wall and then doing a back eject onto the beam, but this game just isn't that freeform, unfortunately. It's not going to let you do stuff like that. For a moment, I'm wondering if I can actually just cheese it by running to that ledge, but you can't. Again, it's just not that freeform. You're really kind of expected to go one way here, and that's fine. There's value in that. There's joy in figuring it out. Once again, because it's been a while, I'm taking my time. I'm looking around. I'm deciding what my next move is going to be. And now this is open, and then I remember that the reason this is open now is because I need to get my lantern back, filled with oil, and once again come back without wetting it. This gate is now open, so we don't have to worry about going the long way around. So at first I come up here, and I definitely know I don't want to move through that waterfall because then my light will turn off. And then I realize we can go back down here. Go through this gate. And then I have a light bulb moment and I realize I can just continue climbing. More bugs over here, so we're going the right way. And here we are. So this area is quite large, and on a no upgrades run there's really no way to get it done quickly, but we'll still try. We'll see what happens. So this area is not only quite large, it's also got a bunch of walls, and enemies are kind of spread out all over the place. What you're intended to do here is to shell leaders from afar using your grenades. And, you know, just like blow them up and terrify everyone and freak them out. And then you can kind of just run through, stabbing away. But I actually want my mortars. I want to keep my grenades for the upcoming boss fight. Because due to my lack of, you know, maximum resources, like my item capacity being so low, because I don't have any belts and I don't have any bracers, I'm just using the default gear. I want to conserve as much ammo as I can for when I actually need it. And there are a few tough decisions I have to make here in terms of item use, because I make a mistake and I essentially have to adapt or die. So we got some cover kills. This is really good for us. These walls are helping us quite a lot. Stab this guy. And I try to take cover, but I end up rolling, and I realize, okay, it's now or never. I really have to burst this guy down as quickly as I can. I parry the first guy, eat a sword blow. They're throwing knives at me. Feels bad. Or at least I think they're knives. They're some kind of unspecified projectile. They might just be throwing rocks at you. And yeah, I'm just like beating the crap out of these people now because they have items on them. And I just burnt some smoke and maybe some medicine too. So here, I think this is like a decent place to bomb these guys, but I decide to phantom them instead because once again, I want to keep my mortars for the actual boss fight. And then this leader comes over here. I just wasn't expecting that guy to survive what appeared to be a Phantom Blade headshot. I know I didn't hit him in the head. I know I messed it up because otherwise he would have died. Like the game doesn't bullshit you out of a fair headshot for the most part. They're just like throwing all kinds of stuff at me, so I have to throw smoke again because I just don't have the ability to sustain that much damage and keep standing. I have to just stop it somehow. I know that if I go into that room, it's going to trigger the fight. So this is when I start trying to refill my stock before I move into the final encounter. At this point, I got a little nervous because I wasn't expecting to get into this kind of fight. I wasn't expecting to have to burn so many resources. So I'm really gonna, you know, breathe, relax, take my time, loot these guys, and check my inventory. I have 3 smoke bombs. I think I could probably make it on that amount, but I'm still gonna check down here to see if I left any bodies, to see if they haven't despawned. So I'm just checking, I'm tapping my smoke bomb button to see how many I have left. Got medicine, that's pretty helpful. lets us stay alive a little longer if we eat more damage. This guy, for a moment, I was actually gonna chase him down all the way, but I was like, dude, I don't have time for this. I'm impatient. I want to finish this game. So I just turned back and decided to just go at it, basically.
The devil do I get it? Open, damn you!
The artifact will never be yours.
So the fight begins here, and what you need to know is that if you kill Captain Rose, you don't have to take down the rest of his men. You really don't. Like, all you have to do is burst this guy's health bar down, and the rest of them will actually despawn. So what you see me do is, this is why I wanted the smoke bomb so badly. And there he goes, he's gone. So now at the most, I just have to like land another parry. When the Animus does that, we are fine.
Required to break this siege.
Steal the artifact, and your reward shall be far greater than anything Commandant Bonaparte has given.
Where do I deliver it?
To the Lady Eve.
So now we have to solve a short puzzle, which isn't that difficult. You basically walk up to the door and you want to get the symbols from left to right. So the first one are just 2 crossed sticks, which is this one right here. The next one is 2 crossed sticks with 2 little sticks, which is on the very right. I forgot what the third one was, so I had to check for it, and it's just 2 crossed sticks with a single small stick. And the last one is just the 1 stick on the very left, and that's it. You can climb up and pick up the apple.
Vive la France.
Of course, at this point, more of Rose's men are gonna follow you. So what I do is I climb up here, and for the rest of this DLC, there's like one final section where you have to escape this area. You cannot use any of your weapons. So at this point, I have free reign to just unload all my ammo on these guys and be really reckless with my resources. Like right here, if I can kill these guys, you know, it's fine. Because I don't remember if taking these guys down clears them of the next encounter. So I'm just kind of being safe rather than sorry. And there's this last guy. I try to like quick shot him with a Berserk Blade, but it's not happening. And there he goes, and that's pretty much gonna be that. So when you get the apple, you have to leave this area, and you can hold the button down to charge it and make its area of effect bigger, but on a no upgrades run, that's actually quite bad, I found out. And what you want to be doing instead is kind of using it to parry incoming attacks, which you'll see me do a number of times. So as I walk around, I'm just going to tap the button in single bursts like that. And see, like that guy manages to hit me, but I'm just waiting for another attack to come at me. And then just quickly, you know, just tapping the button to give them like bursts of illusion. So see, that guy swings at me right before he hits me. I just like hit him with the apple. Boom. And that's what you want to do. You just want to wait for an incoming attack and just slap them with the energy before they actually hit you. See, like I beat that guy back with it. Just like that, just parry them just like that. That guy hits me with a knife. I mistimed that, so I heal. That's my last medicine. I really want to be extra careful here. And that's it. That's the game.
Dear Arno, our hopes as to the future condition of the human species may be reduced to 3 points.
Napoleon Bonaparte, you are under arrest for treason and deserting your post.
The destruction of inequality between different nations. The progress of equality in one and the same nation.
Final passengers!
This must reach Al-Mualim in Cairo.
And lastly, a real improvement of man.
So that's pretty much it. When you finish the game, you get the Lantern of Saint Denis. The apple is gone from it because Arno takes it out in order to send it to Egypt. And that is the entirety of Assassin's Creed Unity, all of the main missions at least, in the base game and the DLC. This is going to be followed up by redoing Syndicate in a similar way. I'm probably going to skip all the cutscenes in Syndicate because it's a full game. You know, it's going to be really, really long if I don't. But yeah, I'm really happy that the base game, no upgrades run, got the positive attention that it did. I tried to do a few things differently with this one. Try to make like tiny improvements. I can still do a lot better, but yeah, I'm just checking my skills and my gear for you guys. You can see I still have all 59 of my skill points from the base game. Still haven't used them. Yeah, so thank you so much. Leave your comments, thoughts, suggestions for next time. I turned off much more of the HUD this time as well. You'll probably notice, and thank you. And have a wonderful time of day. Bye-bye.